I should have done that before you started talking in case Robert was listening. Anyway, good morning to everybody on air at the moment. This is Gulf Harbour Radio on 8752, and it's a beautiful, crispy morning here at Gulf Harbour. It's actually nice waking up real early now because the moon is absolutely gorgeous in these clear skies. It's only 9 degrees outside, and I notice a lot of the boats that are heading north are thinking how nice it is to slowly be getting warmer, although it's taken a while for them to talk about getting warmer. The barometer is 1021 and steady. We have about 2 knots from the south at the moment. A lot of reports in, which will keep David very quiet today. In fact, it kept him quiet yesterday because what he's doing is a real comparison between the different models and not only just the actuals for the day, but what they say going out for 3 days, and then comparing them with what you come up with and whether they actually change themselves. So with all of the reports coming in today, thank you very much for the detailed wind and barometer reports. So he'll be able to keep very quiet and have another good day of comparisons. But it sounds very pleasant out there now, and the satellite picture shows a much nicer picture than it has in the last few days. That nastiness has all disappeared to the east, although we haven't heard from Margarita yet to see just how far. I think they might still be under a bit of cloud, but the rest of you have got it looking quite nice by the look of things, with some quite pleasant winds everywhere. I'm just going to try and find Flying Cloud, who are in fact heading east. Flying Cloud, Gulf Harbour. Oh, I might need somebody to try and find them. I won't annoy you, Graham, because you're meant to be doing a watch, I suppose. Pilgrim, I can see you're up because I've got a report. And are you there, Ron? Yeah, go ahead.
Flying Cloud, Gulf Harbour, copy.
All right, well, actually, we're a bit early. I usually wait a bit till I call them. So we've got quite a lot of interesting reports in, but I'm just going to give a bit of news first to get things underway here. Those of you who are in New Zealand will know that there has been a requirement for testing in New Zealand houses, particularly the New Zealand Housing Corporation houses and people renting houses, for methamphetamine or P residues. This has been going on for 10 years, and it's turned into a huge business. People have set up to do this testing and remediation work. About $100 million has been spent just by Housing New Zealand. And it turns out that they had a decent scientific study. You know, when all else fails, we'll do a proper scientific study. And they have found that it makes absolutely no difference at all to the health of the people living in the houses. In fact, you are more at risk from mold than you are from methamphetamine residue in houses that have been used by heavy drug users. The standards were 1.5 micrograms per cubic meter, and you can go well beyond the 15 micrograms per cubic meter and still have no effect. So that's going to upset quite a few people who have actually created a business doing that work.
People won't believe that.
People won't believe that? No, David said, well, you're just jaded about, well, yes, we could have a good discussion on this. You know, one of these days when we're doing this net, we'll be able to have feedback, you know. You'll be able to press a button that says, blah, or agree or something. And we could get instant feedback. But anyway, that's the story. You could come back and buy a pink house and not be worried if you live in it.
I know they said that if they were manufacturing, that's a different story.
Yeah, that is a different story if there's significant residues there. But anyway, and that would require testing. There has been a bit of a problem for you folk from Belgium in the city of Liege. There was a hostage situation and unfortunately in the rescue 2 police officers were killed, plus the hostage, plus a bystander. So the gunman was eventually killed, but it wasn't a very good result all round. And I wasn't going to talk about this again, the old President Trump meeting in Singapore with Kim Jong-un, but it does look as if the South Korean President, Moon Jae-in, he's doing an incredible job actually of relating to his compatriot in the north and getting the talks back on target for June 12th, I think it is. So he's doing very, very well. So even if they just sit around the table and spit at each other, at least they will get together by the look of it. So that's about as much as I saw that was of any interest, because the New Zealand papers are, of course, quite concentrating on the whole bogus thing that we talked about yesterday. So I'm just going to do a call for anybody at the moment, and then I'll give you a few of the reports from people at sea. Anybody wanting to contact us, please call. Oh, okay, I've got a couple there, and I'll take Cobalt first because we know where they were from yesterday. Go ahead, Cobalt.
Cobalt position is 5.34 minutes start, 171 degrees, 21 minutes east. Course 532, 6 knots, wind 15 knots from the southeast. We've got about 70% cloud cover and a 1 meter swell from the south. Over.
Oh, sounds very pleasant. Ties in with everybody else there. We've got Cobalt at 2534 and 17121 east, and they have 15 knots of southeast there. Wow, lovely pleasant trades. 17% cloud cover and a 1 meter swell from the south. So I bet all is well on board. Over.
Thanks very much. All is very well. It's much nicer now. The swell was much bigger a few days ago, but gorgeous. Thanks for your help. Cobalt now.
Okay, and we'll be, of course, doing the weather at hour. Who was the male voice behind Cobalt? Oh, not a very strong signal from whoever it was, and my noise has come up. The neighbourhood must be waking up. Could I have a relay? Could you say your boat name a couple of times? Maybe it's Flying Cloud, but I haven't been able to pick it up. The boat name a couple of times, and we'll see who's got you. Oh, thank you. Boy, gracious lady. You'll have to do some work when you get there. And Rod, you're booming in. Gracious lady, go ahead, and Pilgrim Ron will relay. Go ahead. Gracious lady, I've got 2503 and 171 something, but Ron will give that to me. If you could complete your report, over.
I can do that. It's next day, details, the weather, etc. As Gracious lady, and I get 2543 17102.
Okay, got that. So that's what he said, the same as Gracious lady. That makes it easy. So I've corrected that, Gracious lady, to 2543 and 17102. Are we correct on the position? Over. Okay, thank you very much, Ron. All right, I just move on from Gracious lady. And was there anybody else?
Excel.
Oh, it's a very strong lady's voice, and I'm just trying to work out what I've just had to turn it down, believe it or not. Could you give me your boat name again and carry on?
The boat name is Excel. Do you copy of it?
Yes, I do. It's just a new one for the log here, so I'm getting used to your voice. Very strong signal. Go ahead.
Thank you, Godfather Radio. This is Excel. Our position today is 30 degrees 35 decimal 23 south, 179 degrees, 52 decimal 01 east. We've got southerly 15 knots, 18 south cover, and steering 20 degrees true. We've got about a 1 metre 12 from south over.
Okay, fantastic signal from you. 2035 and 17952. By the way, folks, just give us the minutes. We don't need the decimals because you'll have moved on by the time you finish talking. Southerly 15 and 1/8 cloud cover and 020. What's your speed then, over?
Currently about 5 knots over.
Okay, all right, got all that and superb radio signal, so that's all working well. Okay, clear with Excel. Where's your destination?
We are heading for Raval. We left Napier about 5 days ago, and we have registered on your website but not checked in before over.
Okay, so you left from Napier. We did that one time, but we were heading to Ryder, but no, we weren't. We were heading to Bora Bora. Okay. Yeah, we were quite amazed with the checkout at Napier. The guy that checked us out when he came, he stood on the dock, took our lines off, and made sure we left. Is it still the same, over?
Roger, yes, exactly the same. We went out to the other side of the harbour and took photographs of the boat as well as we went.
Boy, some of these guys are really keen to get rid of you, aren't they? All right. Well, thank you for that. And by the way, folks, I've got a superb rundown, all clear with Excel, from a boat yesterday. Jan, I've got a mental block here from their boat name, but I'll remember it. Alcyon gave a good breakdown of all of the fees going into Suva, and they were the boat they mentioned that when they contacted the Suva Yacht Club were able to just wait with the yellow flag up over the weekend and then have the folk check them in on Monday. It was a pretty slow process, definitely island time. I don't think they arrived on board until the mid-afternoon, and then they had something else to do on Tuesday. I will actually put the detail of the costs of the procedure on the website for you to have a look at, but it is good to know that at least in Suva you can arrive in the weekend and not have the obscene extra costs and then wait until the Monday, which is actually quite nice to get the boat and yourselves organised over the weekend and deal with it all when you're fresh. Okay, well, let's just have a look at some of the reports in. Obsession, interesting to see they don't have any wind instruments on board, but they have 10 knots of east-southeast, and that's at about just above 30 south and 177 east, so conditions are really nice. It's amazing how accurate that you can get, mind you, when you don't have wind instruments, because ours often go on the blink, and you can look at the wind waves, and I think it's 12 knots when they start just to fall off the top, and you see white caps at 12 knots. And the best judge for us was the noise of the wind generator. You can get amazingly close to the knots when you just tune into the wind generator noise. Anyway, I won't divert. We've got Havana Harbour. Thank you, Frank. 8 knots up there. 10% cloud cover. It's looking absolutely beautiful everywhere, really. Messatroy and Bunda, 15 knots. Is it 15 or 1.5? 15, I think. Southeast. Just lovely trades. Probably don't need to do the weather today because it looks too beautiful.
Okay, well,
David will go back to bed. And Villamere reporting albatrosses. A couple of people had said that they hadn't seen any birds at sea, and sometimes that can be the case, but they're at 2751 and 177 east, plenty of albatrosses around, and they've got east-southeast 15 to 20, looking along at 7.5. Boy, those Benetos can go well in those conditions, can't they? And Elisham, thank you. North Minerva Reef is south at 15 at the moment, 1013, and a bit squally. Oh, let's have a look. Oh, I see. Yes, it is looking a bit cloudier than everywhere else there. So, Amazing Grace, they're sailing beautifully, 1950 and 179.59 with the southeast about 14 knots. So everyone's going pretty well. Fusio 26 and 179 east, 16 knots of easterly, and only a half of east of southeast swell. Well, Fusio will be ripping along. Yep, 7 knots there as well. Okay, so all the reports are coming in. That will keep David very quiet today, comparing everything. I'll just do another call for Flying Cloud, Flying Cloud. Oh, it's actually quite good. I will get Ron to write it along with me, though, just in case. Go ahead, Walter. Okay, you faded away at the end for me. I have you at 2403. Ron, did you get the longitude? Over. And what was the last comment? Ooh, you faded away at the end too. But I have got all of that, so they're doing rather nicely at 7 knots. I didn't believe at the 148, but yes, you've made really good progress since yesterday. So doing well there, and it's good to have that report in for David to see what the models are doing further to the east. So anything else, a Flying Cloud? What was that comment, Ron? All right. So, well, I wouldn't mind hearing that they actually arrived safely. So make sure you do that for us, so we can keep track of you till the anchor down spot. All right. We are now at the time for moving on to the weather roundup. Here's David.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for putting in as many reports as you have. I appreciate it. I did spend most of yesterday going through this, and we have data from today, and if we get data for maybe one more day, that would be helpful too. And what I'm doing is I'm comparing most of the models. I'm looking at the EC, MWF, GFS, UK Met. And I'm looking at the two models that predict wind has. They've got their own so-called global models, although when I talk to them, they refuse to tell me exactly what that is, and they do not offer a skill score for any of their models. So, but I put them in anyway just to see how they're doing. And also, when you give the reports, there is a big difference between magnetic and true, because all the models are giving direction in true, and many of you I know are doing it in magnetic, and I know many of you are winging it by peering over the compass and looking at the wind. And I admit it, I know you're doing it. The reason I know that is because I used to do that too. So that could account for some variations that I'm seeing, particularly for people that are very close to each other. Although one other thing is quite obvious, and that is, as we've said before, isobars are not linear. We'll get into that. It's quite interesting. And we'll talk a little bit about the wind feathers and interpreting the wind and so forth from what you see on your grids. Okay, so to be a little bit different today, we're going to look at 250 millibar level, which is where we find the jet stream. And there it is. It's running almost in a straight line west to east, and it's got within it jet streaks. These are the oval areas of quite great speed. We've got one east of Harvey Bay, that's in Australia, while we've got another streak that's found east-northeast of New Zealand. Now the jet acts like a chimney. It helps all of the air to rise that's on the surface, and that's partly responsible for all of the cloud that is visible in the Southwest Pacific of the last couple of days, and there is quite a bit of cloud. We've got three main cloud bands or troughs today, one an arc around 22 south, another one near 25 south, the third from, well, just north of Fiji to near Tonga, and then it goes on to the Cooks. The second jet streak, by the way, east of New Zealand is helping up lift the air over the rather nasty depression that's out there at 160 west. And that's a 972 low, and that's no fun if you're anywhere near it. And the only reason I'm mentioning it is it's sending off a frontal band toward the islands as well. And these tend to do that. They get picked up in the main flow of a high well to the east of even them, and it tends to just work that frontal band to the west. Now, we have quite a few yachts on passage now, so we'll get right into the synoptic picture, and then we'll check out the winds. And hopefully everyone who is departing has departed, and the rest of you are sitting around just waiting for the next window. So we'll start with the nice ridge that's over New Zealand. It's pretty weak, with hardly any wind over the country, as Patricia said. Our nasty low, like east of the islands, like I said, has been responsible for a front and a couple of troughs, and we have another low that's just in the southeast of New Zealand that's doing the same thing, and it's putting them all over the cruising route. And we're looking at satellite imagery of a big screen right now that's just putting a roof on, and Patricia has noted, and you can see it. There's just band after band, and a lot of breaks in between, so you could be sailing in a break, and that break could be a degree wide, which is 60 miles, and you might think there's no trough here, but if you look at the big picture, you'll see the consistency of the clouds, and you make out the shape of the trough, and they're there. Okay, what else? Now, I've got to find what I was going to say next here. Well, anyhow, by tomorrow, our high pretty much narrows even more, as we've got a complex low system that is moving into the Tasman. By tomorrow, it'll be halfway across the Tasman, and of course, that's eventually going to come to New Zealand and mess up the weather once again here over the country. Now, tomorrow, those of you at 30 south, I don't think there's too many at 30 south right now. A few should have fairly light air, most of it variable, anywhere from south to northeast to east. It's all over the place. At 25 south, a little bit more organized, east to southeast. And at 20 south, east southeast, in the 15 knot range. Now, we had one report for Revelo, I think, at 20, I think they were at 28. Were they? Something like that. They were calling off a bit of south-southwest. I can't get any model to agree with that, and I don't have a microwave satellite pass to see what's going on, but it could very well be that that's the case. And again, it's where the isobars just take a bend where you least expect it. The models don't pick it up, and the wind is different. So there you go. Now, we've got a trough that's lying over Vanuatu, quite weak, broken. It runs on to Fiji, also broken and weak, and then it goes on to Vanuatu. Now we've got another broken trough near 28 south, as I mentioned, and another one further south than that. But again, not much in them unless you are in them. And then you've got squalls and so forth. Now Friday, it looks like troughing over Tonga, Fiji, and Vanuatu. So those of you that are about ready to get to Tonga and Fiji Friday, weather looks like it's going to pack up a bit on that date. And a frontal band is going to run pretty much up, roughly up 172 east, all the way up to Vanuatu, and it's going to hook up with the trough I just mentioned, and it's going to exacerbate both of them. That's kind of a phenomena that we see. You could have a medium active trough and sort of a medium cold front, and the minute they make contact with each other, they seem to both get a little bit stronger. Now, that's probably going to happen. So the winds on Friday at 25 south look to be east to northeast, about 15 knots in the mean, and then if you're at 22 south, they'll be northeast. So you can see the winds are starting to turn. On Saturday, the front's going to run up 177 east, and that runs from New Zealand. Yep, there it is, over New Zealand. And it runs right up to Fiji. And again, it meets up with the increasingly intense trough that's over both Tonga and Fiji at that time. Those who decide to go to Minerva Reef, actually, it'll be quite nice on Saturday. East to northeast winds may be in the 15 knot mark. So nothing will have gotten to you by then. It should be pretty nice. Now up in the tropics, up in the deep tropics, we have another trough that runs from the Solomons to Futuna, then just north of Niue and on to the southeast, and actually it runs southwest of the southern coast. It itself runs southeast, but it winds up being southwest of the southern coast. Another trough runs from just east of Tuvalu to the south of Tokelau, and then it goes southeastward also. So today for Tonga, we do have that trough very weak over Vavau, so we'll just see cloudy periods and some scattered showers. In fact, for all of Tonga, we may have cloudy periods off and on, and again tomorrow. The winds today, southeast 15 to 20 for the Hapais, and about 15 knots in Vavau, and Thursday about 15 to 20 southeast winds. And it just depends where you are, whether you get closer to the 20 or closer to the 15. Now, Fiji has a fair amount of cloud from a very weak trough, so expect scattered cloud showers from time to time there in Fiji. Fiji Met, by the way, still posts a strong wind warning for all of Fiji waters, mostly southeast winds, 20 to 25 knots. And expect moderate to rough seas, and of course we do have a moderate southerly swell as well. Vanuatu has a fair amount of cloud to the north, but quite clear to the south. Anishim is getting a little bit of cloud from a very weak trough that is just to the south of Anishim. So anyhow, expect cloud and possible showers in the north, including Luganville. Port Vila may see morning showers a little better this afternoon, and partly cloudy for Tana. And Friday looks like rain for the group. That's where that front starts to approach the group itself. The winds today, southeast about 10 to 15, Anishim to Erromango, and 15 to 20 northward. And broken cloud for Newcastle on imagery this morning, and that's a weak trough that's passing through quite broken again. So expect southeast 10 to 15 in the southern lagoon by around lunchtime today, but tomorrow a definite wind shift to the northeast, light air around 10 to 12, and those northeast winds are useful if you want to get down to Yucatan. So that's it from me. Any questions or comments come now. And again, thanks for the reports. I'm going to use today's and continue this, and then I'll present to you what I've found, and we'll go from there. So any questions, again, come down, and I'll pass this to the chief.
Nothing heard. So they're all enjoying these nice trade winds in most places, and we will hope that they stay with you and don't cause any problems to you over the day, and we'll be back again tomorrow. So one final call for anybody with anything. Okay, we've got a couple there, and good morning, Sue, on Heatwave. How's it going? Over.
Yeah, good morning, Patricia. Really well. We've just got the 30 line, so it means it's tropical waters now. Looking forward to a bit of warmth from nice having you, Rhoda.
Well, the radio is working well now, so it was actually quite good that you made a diversion and left again. You might as well give me a report, over.
Absolutely. So the position is 2958 south, 17804 east. We have wind 15 southeast, sea state about 1 metre, and wind is 047, speed 5.8, barometer 1017 steady. Over.
Got all of that. And are you magnetic or true on your direction?
Very true. Over.
All right, everybody to run. So we have heat wave. It's interesting that right on that 30 mark that I get really good signals from people. 29581780 east, 15 knots of southeasterly and only a 1 metre sea, presumably from the south, and 1017 steady. So doing quite well. So everything's hunky-dory now, over?
Absolutely. No, very much enjoying it. Would you be able to repeat Excel's position, please? Over.
Yeah, Roger. They are at 2035 ahead of you there, 17952 east on their way to Bilbao, and they've got a southerly of 15, about 13% cloud cover, and trucking along at 5 knots with a 1 metre southerly swell. Over. Oh, you suddenly disappeared on me. All right, there was somebody in behind heat wave. Who was that?
Hello, me.
Well, below me. Good morning, Trevor and Jan. Sounds like you guys are doing rather well too. Over.
Yep, well, we get all fine and we can actually hear you today, which is good.
Yeah, well, 2751. Well, mind you, that was a minute ago, quarter of an hour ago or so, or might have been a bit longer than that now if I refresh my page here. And plenty of albatrosses, and all's going well. Boy, 7.5 knots, that's a good speed for you, over.
Yeah, well, we're trying to keep it going. Just a question for Dave, that load is going across the cross that's going up towards Fiji. Our arrival time will be the 3rd. I know we're going to get some nor'easterly, where we've sort of moved over to the east to make that a bit more enjoyable. Just wondering what Dave reckons the time frame for that front is for going across Fiji.
All right, and for those still listening, we're now going to talk about the front that's going to pass over the track towards Fiji, because Wilhelmina will be arriving on the 3rd of June. Oh, and that reminds me to tell you folk, we will not be on Saturday. We're going to take a couple of days off. It's actually Queen's birthday weekend, and we're going to the Coromandel. But we will be back. We're just going for 2 nights. We'll be back for the Monday, but we will not be on this coming Saturday. So here's David.
Yeah, good morning, Trevor. And it looks like that frontal band, unfortunately, is going to be arriving on Sunday morning. Sunday morning at dark 30 before breakfast, I think. Now, there does look like there is going to be a trough there as well. And they probably are going to be linking up Saturday at the noontime frame. That front looks like it's going to be just to the west of Fiji proper, but it runs right up and down 177. But like I said, the models are calling for a trough at the very same time over Fiji. So if you're arriving Saturday and a Sunday, I'm afraid the visibility is going to be down considerably. The winds are going to be anywhere from east to east-northeast, and they're going to be up in the 20-knot range in the mean, and under the heavy rain clouds, you're probably going to be looking briefly at much more wind than that, unfortunately. Over.
Yeah, kind of thinking that the schools that have gone over, especially earlier on yesterday, we are getting good 30 knots out of some of them, so probably more of the same up there.
Yeah, that's right. We do seem to be getting some pretty tall buildups in these troughs now. And as you said, you found out. So, yep, that's what it looks like. But you're going pretty fast, and the model could be wrong. If things slow down just a little bit, you could be in luck. But we'll see what happens. Over.
Yeah, well, you should be able to tell us that tomorrow when you send us all your comparables.
Will do.
Okay, thanks, David. We'll immediately up.
All right, so you'll both have to just keep the pedal to the metal there. All right, was there anybody else? Nothing heard, so I shall close it down and leave the frequency open to you. Good morning to everybody. Not too many on streaming today. It's pretty cold up there in Whangarei by the look of it. It's steady, well, much the same as ours, but I'm sure it's colder than, well, mind you, it's probably dropped to 8 degrees now. It always does drop 1 as the day starts. So good morning, everybody. The frequency is all yours, and we'll be back again as usual tomorrow morning. Cheers all.